You've hit all your targets, you've won the awards, so why does success sometimes feel like a bit of a plateau? Today, we're diving into a framework for leaders who are ready to move beyond just winning and get to true mastery. It's called the Engine of Dissatisfaction.
So let's start with a really fundamental question. What does mastery actually feel like? Seriously, take a second. What's the first thing that pops into your head?
Most of us, we picture this feeling of effortless confidence, right? Serene satisfaction, the kind of calm you get from knowing you've finally reached the top. But what if that whole picture of mastery isn't just wrong? What if it's actually dangerous?
And that brings us right to the heart of the problem for so many successful leaders in their teams, the paradox of success. That very thing you work so hard to build, that winning formula, that perfect product, well, that can become a kind of gilded cage. It traps you in what used to work, and it just stifles any real future growth.
This slide just maps out that journey from goal to danger perfectly. Look at the left side. The satisfaction we're all chasing? Well, over time, that hardens into stagnation. The confidence we build up? That can sour into outright complacency. And the repetition that made us so efficient, that leads directly, and I mean directly, to creative death. That, right there, is the trap of success.
So, the big question is, how do we get out of this trap? Well, the answer comes from the philosophy of a master architect, Santiago Calatrava. He suggests we totally reframe one of our most misunderstood emotions and actually use it as fuel for our work.
And here it is. This chart brilliantly illustrates the whole framework. So let's walk through this matrix. Bottom left, you've got the deluded amateur, low skill but totally happy with their mediocre work. Then bottom right, you've got the frustrated beginner. They know they're not good enough yet, and it bugs them. Now let's look at the top. The top left, that's where most successful companies end up living. It's the formula. They have high mastery and they're highly satisfied, just repeating their past successes. But that's the gilded cage, right? That's the zone of stagnation. And here it is, the key insight. The real goal is the top right, the living master. This is the zone of high mastery combined with low satisfaction, a constant productive hunger that fuels relentless growth and reinvention.
And Calatrava himself doesn't see dissatisfaction as some negative thing. He calls it a divinity, a sacred force. It's not about feeling bad. It's about having the clarity to see there is always a better way, and then using that feeling as the fuel for progress. It is the engine.
And that divine dissatisfaction, it isn't just some passive feeling. No, it demands action. It requires a profound kind of courage. The courage to look at something that works, something that's successful, maybe even celebrate it, and say, you know what, this isn't good enough. And then have the strength to tear it all down and start over.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you, as a leader, actually put this into practice? I mean, how do you build this engine without just creating a culture of constant negativity? It's all about channeling that dissatisfaction into a shared ambition.
Here's your playbook. First, you have to rebrand what dissatisfaction means inside your team. It is not complaining, it is creative fuel. Second, you have to celebrate the glorious failure. That ambitious moonshot that didn't quite stick the landing is often way more valuable than a safe, boring win. Third, beware the victory lap. The second you start believing your own hype is the second you start to stagnate. And finally, you've got to model this. As the leader, you need to be the most healthily dissatisfied person in the room.
So, what can you do the minute this is over? Here's your Monday morning action. Get your team together. Take your latest, greatest success and run a pre-mortem on it. Here's the task. You have to assume that it was, in fact, a total failure. Your team's job is to find every single hidden flaw, every missed opportunity, every corner that was cut. Trust me, this one exercise can start installing that engine of dissatisfaction immediately.
And that leaves us with one last question for you to take back to your organization. You probably track team satisfaction, maybe in employee surveys. But after hearing all this, maybe you should ask yourself, is a team that reports they're 100% satisfied with their own work a key metric to celebrate? Or is it a massive red flag for the kind of complacency that always comes before a fall?